Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Advanced Microeconomics Lecture 12. The algebra of efficiency in general equilibrium and efficiency. In the last lecture, we were discussing the algebra of general equilibrium and walrus law. So now we are going to discuss efficiency related general equilibrium or equilibrium and efficiency. What we mean by it? Actually, equilibrium is Pareto efficient, and for understanding the concepts, we same take that at equilibrium A, we found two agents A and B, and if we suppose that this equilibrium is not Pareto efficient, mean what is Pareto efficient? If you recall the concept of Pareto efficient, Pareto efficient was that someone is better off. What was it? Was better off, and other was worse off. It was a concept, and here we assume if the equilibrium is not Pareto efficient, and another solution for agent A and B, which prefers strictly. Here we take agent A and agent B by the presentation of y1a and y2a, and similarly for B, y1b and y2b. And what will be the case that y's and axis, that new solution must be the feasible in the sense that what is demanded will be equal to what is supplied to the aggregate. It means that the equilibrium point show that demand equal to supply for the consumer A and for agent A and agent B. So original solution is the case similar as you discussed in the last case, that total demand will be equal to the supply. Here similar presents that demand equal to supply, and if we see that individual budget set, there is tangent to the budget constraint, as already I described to, as we say budget line is tangent to the indifference curve. Same we discuss here. If budget constraint is given and prefer the original solution necessity, what will be the solution? See here, let's we say that if A's demand is higher than its supply and B's demand is also higher than its supply, and then what will the condition will apply, then you consider it here. Then we take the P1s common from here, and from here we also take the P1 common, and from it we also take the P1 common, and from it we also take the P1 common, and this shows that here we just assume that if there is not an equilibrium, Pareto efficiency is not lying, then what will be happen? Both the right side and left hand side are not equal. In this case, you see that it is not equal, or left hand side is greater than the right hand side. So this gives us an important theorem, and what will be the leads to the important theorem? That is first theorem of welfare economics and second theorem of welfare economics. And what is the first theorem of welfare economics? That all market equilibria are competitive equilibria are Pareto efficient. First theorem, that all the market equilibrium, mean all the equilibrium that are lying into the market are the Pareto efficient. And there is lying an efficiency, and how we can define then efficiency and equilibrium. Actually, efficiency to equilibrium and the question is, if we have a Pareto efficient allocation, we find the set of prices that this equilibrium is also the competitive or market equilibrium. The answer is as individual preferences are convex. That is true, and this is known as second Wolford theorem. And we can also define second Wolford theorem as that if all the agents have convex preferences, like as you discuss into the like convexity, this is the convexity that you discussed into the ICs in the first and third semesters of your ICs concepts. And what will the set of the prices that a Pareto efficient allocation is a market equilibrium for appropriate assignment of endowments that the agents bound with the allocation, or you can say here look the points with the initial allocation. So it's the last topic of your chapter, that what are, then we first discuss what is the first and second Wolfram theorems and what are the implications of these theorems. Actually, both theorems have important messages for regard to the allocations. If we first see first Wolfram theorem, that is actually says that consumer theory assumes that all the agents in a sense are selfish and has mixed senses here implicitly, and if agents don't care about each other, we have consumption externalities, and its presence may imply that the competitive equilibrium don't be Pareto efficient. What's the first point? That competitive equilibrium don't be Pareto efficient. And secondly, we say that in the market all the agents are for having the way in which they have to choose their pattern for getting the maximum utility. So they have to do the exchange of the commodities in such a way that both agents get the competitive equilibrium that couldn't be Pareto efficient. And secondly, implicity, that is implicity to understand the competition is possible, and everyone constitutes small portion of the entire market, and so the search of the models of competitive equilibrium will be possible for the agent A and B. And what will be the second welfare theorem? Second welfare theorem actually leads to the problem of efficiency and redistribution, and how the equilibrium take place into the competitive market. And suppose we deem initial endowment of resources that appealing for an economy on account of our altruism, and you could reallocate this initial endowment and use the prices to indicate relative scarcity and consequently justify the reallocation. So it actually describes the prices and also consequently justify the reallocation. That actually the process is more difficult than we made it out to be, because we have good ways to evaluate on both the theorems, first and second theorem, and for the initial endowments of both the agents, and ultimately what is ultimately observable, such as taxing of labor supply, which we may presume is highly dependent on our endowment, that tax will be imposed on according to our endowments what the agents are having. So taxes are imposed on the endowments of the agents and will distort our choice and consequently result into inefficiencies resulting into inefficiencies. So the what is one way out of this problem is to have lump sum taxes. What is the way to solve this problem is to have that lump sum taxes, and taxes is independent on the endowments, and they have to be decided according to the social planners, and these lump sum amounts can be transferred between the agents by the social planners, and that can be distortionary. It was all about today lecture, and so the exchange chapter of your exchange is complete now. In the next lecture we will start the next chapter, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.